Welcome to Old Guy Tech,
the OGT.TV recording studio.
Technology for the rest of us.
Hi, I'm Rob Charney, Old Guy Tech TV, and we're here again today with Sheriff John DeAugustini, and this is what we're going to call Crime Beat for this episode. We're going to talk a little bit about what's going on in El Dorado County and what maybe you can do about it, and how things are going on in the county. And once again, John, thank you very much for coming. I always appreciate it, and I know the community always enjoys hearing from you too. So maybe we should just get to the crux of the matter. I know, talking to you, that there's some great things going on as far as our deaths are down, and violent crimes are down.
Violent crimes are way down,
right.
Eerily down.
Yes.
I say it's an anomaly because we, by all intents and purposes, the trends, we shouldn't be this low as long as we have.
Okay.
My staff gets a little upset when I say that because they think I'm going to jinx it, but there's wood here, so I'm going to knock on wood. It is extremely low, virtually almost, I won't say non-existent, but that low.
That's good.
Property crimes, on the other hand, they are on the rise. We're at about 17% up from 2010. So last full year stats were 11. We're about 17% up from them. From there, and we're seeing that still carrying through into this year. We're about halfway through it, about the same rate.
What would drive? That's a fairly high percentage. What's driving that?
Rob, for a long time I said I didn't think it was the economy, and I said that because normally law-abiding folks, we don't resort to a life of crime. We're going to make ends meet no matter what happens. We're going to cut firewood. We're going to do what it takes. We do what it takes.
Right.
But I didn't take into consideration the other side, and that's the knuckleheads. And the knuckleheads are worse off too, and they're conversely, I believe, doing more crime. So I think that's why we're seeing an increase. Burglaries, thefts, grand thefts, petty thefts, metal theft. That's still a huge issue in the county as well as throughout the nation. But that is up. It was reported about three or 4 months ago. It was reported that property crime was up 30%. That was absolutely false.
Okay.
We're up. The number was 17%.
In El Dorado County?
In El Dorado
Could
County.
it have been that 30% been the whole state? Is that a possibility?
No, I don't believe
so. It seems
so.
awfully high, but it does, yeah.
That is high.
That's ridiculously high.
3 out of 10 more.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Doesn't seem like it.
It is up. And as far as areas, we can't really put a finger on it. It pops up. We have pockets.
Okay.
We'll have a string of burglaries that'll happen in El Dorado Hills, and then we'll have a string of burglaries that'll happen in Pollock Pines, and then we'll have a string of burglaries that'll happen in South County, and wherever. And that was one of the driving reasons why I instituted the true SED team, or the Special Enforcement Detail team, where before it was only 2 deputies. They did a great job. They did a lot of proactive enforcement, but they were frequently, on a regular basis, drawing resources from patrol and patrol supervisors to serve warrants, do more target enforcement, do whatever it may be. So in September, when we did the schedule change, it allowed me to free up some more bodies with the robustness of the shift, going from 6 teams to 4 teams.
Right.
And it was able to create what I call a true SED team, where we actually have 4 deputies and a sergeant, and they're doing a fantastic job. And what they'll do is, if we see these trends, we see a little pocket area where we're getting hit, they'll go in and do true proactive enforcement. And I say that because they're talking to everybody, and they're hitting the areas hard.
Okay.
And I have received the phone calls. Your deputy stopped me. Well, yeah. I live in a nice neighborhood. Well, you've had a lot of burglaries in that neighborhood, haven't you? Well, we've had a few. I said, well, that's my SED team. And what time was that? It was 2 o'clock in the morning. I was coming back from somewhere, and they stopped me for no reason. Well, they can't stop you for no reason. You rolled a stop sign, or, well, yeah, that's what he told me you did. I said I rolled a stop sign. Okay, well, you rolled a stop sign. And we're talking to everybody.
Right.
We're doing proactive enforcement in your area to hopefully catch these these folks that are committing these burglaries.
Right.
And after you explain it to them, then they understand. But they're doing that type of enforcement. They're writing search warrants. They're recovering a lot of stolen property. They're putting a lot of people in jail. Last year, if you recall, we had a lot of burglaries in the Placerville, south of Placerville area, at the Pleasant Valley area.
Sure, I remember that.
Here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they put together a mini task force, and within, I think it was within 30 days, they had 10 people in custody.
Wow.
So they knocked it
Now,
off.
were these crimes of opportunity, or are these guys habitual criminals?
Yeah,
most
most
part.
of them are those. What do we say? They do life on the installment plan.
Okay, right.
So
Yeah.
they're regulars.
Right.
One suspect in particular was somebody that they had been looking at for a long time and just couldn't get into. And during the course of the investigations and working them very hard, they did get into this individual, served a search warrant, and recovered just loads of stolen property. As a matter of fact, there was a press release in the paper a few months ago about for a victim viewing day of property, because we had so much.
Oh, I bet.
I wanted to make sure they got it.
Did you have that day already?
We already
did.
Yes.
Okay. Well, we'll keep on that loop too, because we can get that out to people as well on
You
those
bet.
kind of days next time you do something like that.
You bet.
So we're hitting pockets of El Dorado Hills, Rescue, Placerville, Grizzly, wherever it may go. There's little pockets of burglaries type
they'll
things
pop
going.
up here and there once in a while, and I keep a pretty good tab on it. I know my troops do, because every day I get a briefing report, and it gives me all the calls for service for the prior 24 hours, and I go over that and I look, and I typically look for, you're looking for violent crime, you're looking for trends. I know my troops are doing the same thing, but lately there hasn't been any big serious trends. Kind of spread out everywhere.
How about auto theft? How's that? Is that becoming an issue?
No,
Same
not an issue.
what
That's
it's been?
pretty steady.
Yeah. Do we? I mean, this is going to sound funny because I'm ignorant of this, but is there actually chop shops in El Dorado County that anybody knows of? I mean, I know.
I would. Yeah.
I don't know.
I would. I'm not going to say no.
Well, I was just wondering.
But
Yeah.
I would assume. I'm sure there are
Yeah.
somewhere. Most of the chop shops in the area, in the region, I would say, would be in the Sacramento region.
Okay.
Closest to us as far as that. the
Sure.
bigger
Right.
areas
Well,
where
it
they
makes
can-
sense.
and they can fence it easier.
They can hide it easier.
Hide it easier.
Right.
Um,
So that's one type. What about marijuana? Now, I know we've talked about this before, but and I'm not talking about the little guy in the backyard that's growing one or two plants. I'm talking about the big operations in the forest or big indoor grows. What's happening on those?
Well, for the last few years, we have actually seen a big decline in the amount of MDTO, or Mexican Drug Trafficking Organization, grows in our national forests. We weren't really sure what the cause of that was. We had been hammering them very hard for many years.
Right.
And then through informants and through back channels and whatever, the information we were getting and the evidence showed true was these organizations were moving their growing operations to the valley and using the auspice of Proposition 215 medical marijuana to grow these huge collective and cooperative grows.
Yeah.
They would get 100 migrant farm workers. Each one would get a 99 plant doctor's recommendation. They'd grow 9,900 plants, and then hoping nobody would touch them. Well, it actually started out where local jurisdictions wouldn't touch them because of the Proposition 215 issue and a case a few years ago out of Garden Grove, I believe it was, something versus City of Garden Grove, where we go in and we can raid the garden. We can do everything we do and file with the district attorney's office on all these suspects, but if the case is not adjudicated and we lose it, then we're on the hook for the value of all that marijuana. And the courts have said, yeah, you got to pay it. So the local jurisdictions weren't doing it. And what really kicked it off was a case in Fresno, and I believe there was 14 or 19 acres under cultivation, and The local DA would not prosecute the case.
Yeah.
The feds came in
Right.
and said, no, this is out of control. They adopted the case. And after looking at that case, they started looking around the valley and started adopting a bunch of other cases. Well, the cartels since then have said, you know what? We have about a 50% success ratio on these valley grows, because 50% of them are getting ripped off by the cops. So we had about an 80% success ratio in the forest, so we're going to go back to the forest. And I can tell you already we know of some grows that are going to be are taking place in our forest that we'll be working on.
So help me here. I'm a hiker. I go out in the forest and I'm hiking off the trails and things. What should I look for if I come across something that I turn around and beat feet? I mean,
the simplest answer to that, Rob, would be something that doesn't belong. If you're hiking on a trail and it's a trail and everybody's hiking on that trail, you're typically not going to see anything but footprints in that trail, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
If you start seeing water bottles, trash. You start seeing, I would say, ethnic or minority type food wrappers.
Okay.
Whether it be Asian, whether it be Hispanic,
Right.
whatever it is.
So garbage is
garbage.
one of the things that's a tip off.
Right. You start seeing the black poly pipe.
Sure. The drip system,
irrigation line. You start seeing that. You see one of those crossing the trail, get out and call us.
Yeah.
Let us know. But anything that doesn't belong, and if you see something that doesn't belong, please get out of there as soon as you can and let us know. If you have a GPS, we love GPS coordinates,
Right.
lat longs. That helps
Makes
us
it a
get
lot
right
easier.
back to the location.
Right.
But yeah, please be aware of your surroundings when you're out hiking and pay attention to those type of clues.
Yeah, the reason I brought that up, I saw a show not too long ago, and they were some of the feds doing a raid in the forest, and they were talking about how dangerous it is to stumble into one of these grows, and that most of the time the illegals, because most of the time it's illegals, they're armed, and they're not afraid to use the guns, because what's repercussions to them, you know? So that got me thinking about either four-wheeling or quadding or whatever it might happen out there.
Well, that was actually a trend. The last, probably the last 6-8 years, we have seen a trend of violence in the gardens, more violence. I think last year or year before last was the highest number of law enforcement suspect shootings in gardens than ever. And what we were finding was, and specifically in the Emerald Triangle Gardens up in Mendocino and up in that area, were not only were we seeing the illegal immigrants in the gardens, tending the gardens, but we were also seeing validated gang members from Southern California that were there.
Wow.
And what they were doing was these folks were recruited for security. The illegals were in there just gardening. And we were getting in a lot of shootings. And then there was also even a confirmed tie in Northern California to Los Zetas, Mexican terrorist organization.
Really?
They're actually like an army that were trained by us. They were trained by us back in the 80s or 70s or whatever it was. Very, very sophisticated, very high-quality weapons. They knew what they were doing. And they were in Northern California.
Wow. See, now you don't hear too much about that. That's why it's good to talk about it.
You don't, and it's important. It is good to talk about it so that people are aware when they're out there. This is not we're not messing around. This is for real stuff.
Right.
For real stuff.
Yeah, that's scary. That's why I thought it was important to talk to you about what we should do if we come across it. And basically is turn around, go back, give you guys a call.
Absolutely. Please, most importantly, please get out. Please give us a call.
Right.
We really want that information because that may be one that we don't know about. It may be the last link and some information we need to actually locate a garden. You never know. We need to know.
Yeah. So help me on this now. What is California? All right. So the federal government has come out and said on our 218, is that the proposition on
215?
215 America. On legal or medical marijuana. How the state's attorney general, what's the stance taken there? Do you know?
Very non-committal at this point.
Okay. So they're just hiding back, not really saying anything. And now they're leaving it up to what, the jurisdictions to do it, for like, El Dorado County to go and make a bust and the district attorney's office in El Dorado County to prosecute it? Is that, and then what?
Yes.
They're kind of on their own? You said, my God, you said that if they found the other way, all this marijuana they confiscated and it's worth $1 million, you got to pay the bad guys $1 million?
Yes, sir.
Wow. Wow.
Right now, and I'm thinking in November, we will probably see a huge shift. I'm hoping we see a huge shift. There's actually an assembly bill going through right now to change, and I haven't read it. I just got the notice yesterday, pulled it up. It's sitting on my computer on my screen. Haven't had time to read it yet. That modifies some of the law in the Health and Safety Code as far as specifically collectives and cooperatives and dispensaries. Not sure again which way that's going. Somebody was talking about, and maybe I think they still have time to get it on the ballot. A proposition that would take us pre-1996, pre-Proposition 215.
Okay.
Basically, just wipe out everything that's happened since then and go back to the way it was, where marijuana is a Schedule I drug. It's against the law to possess it. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Less than an ounce is a misdemeanor. Anything more than an ounce is a felony. I think the polling had showed, when people were talking about it, that it would pass, because people felt very betrayed that what they voted for under Proposition 215 is not what they ended up getting sold.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't have a problem with what the people voted for. The
Right.
spirit of Proposition 215.
Right.
Those people that were seriously ill,
Mm-hmm.
where marijuana provided relief. And in the media and the propaganda that they pushed with that, they showed the elderly gentleman that was dying of cancer,
Sure.
the
Right.
elderly lady that had glaucoma real bad. They really pushed that. Well, that's not where we're at today.
Right.
When I see 18-year-old kids and younger minors even getting doctor's recommendations for things such as social anxiety,
Just can't do that.
bunions.
Bunions. I
I've
need
seen
marijuana
that.
for bunions.
Yeah,
Oh.
I've seen that. That, to me, that's abuse. That's not what the intent of Proposition
not.
215 was, and that's what we have now. Now, currently, El Dorado County is operating under an urgency ordinance. There's 2 urgency ordinances that were passed last November. One was modified, but they're both in effect now. One relates to dispensaries. No more new dispensaries until a true ordinance is drafted. And then the other one relates to cultivation, and that is outdoor cultivation is limited to no more than 200 square feet and enclosed in a 6 to 8 foot secure opaque fence.
No.
So that's what we're operating under right now. What the final ordinance looks like, I'm working with a team on that, with supervisors, folks both on the pro marijuana side and on the con marijuana side, residents and community members in the county. So we're working on that, trying to see if we can come up with a middle ground.
Yeah, somewhere. Because 200 square feet seems like you can grow an awful lot. I mean, and this is supposedly for just personal use, or is this?
Yes.
So let's say I get sick and the doctor writes me a prescription for marijuana. Is it a prescription to grow, or is it a prescription
Well, it's
to buy?
actually not a prescription. It's a recommendation.
Recommendation.
It's
All right,
a recommendation, because a doctor cannot legally
You're right.
prescribe a Schedule I drug.
Right.
So it's a doctor's recommendation. And you may see you see all types of recommendations. You'll see them that will allow them to possess so many pounds of marijuana and up to 99 plants, or 6 plants. You see them across the whole spectrum. What bugs me is these doctors that are just recommendation mills. The only reason they're in business is they're making a lot of money is they're selling recommendations. They're not really treating the patient. You go in, You sit down with the
Yeah.
doctor for 10 minutes, or the doctor's nurse practitioner, or whatever they call her, physician's
Right.
assistant.
Right.
For 10 minutes, they ask what your problem is. You tell them. They say, okay, well, yeah, I guess marijuana will work for that. They write you a recommendation. You pay your money. You get out the door. To me, that's not health care. That's not what it was designed for.
You know what always amazes me is that we get these doctors. Just imagine. I don't know about you, but I just imagine. I spent all this time going to medical school. I've gone to college, got my degrees. I'm in medical school. I graduate medical school. I have to do my internship. And all of a sudden I turn into this guy that writes recommendations for marijuana. I don't get it. I mean, for me, I just don't understand it.
Well, a lot of money.
So comes right down to money.
A lot of money. Millions and millions of dollars.
Wow.
You bet.
Yeah, see, to me, that's just mind-blowing. I just don't understand it. I really don't. Is there, I hear this. Is there a correlation between what we're seeing in marijuana now and prohibition with alcohol? Back in the 30s?
I think we're talking about two different things, I believe.
Okay.
In my opinion. Is alcohol a drug? Absolutely. Is alcohol a gateway drug? Absolutely. In the South, did prohibition work? No, it did not. Everybody had a still.
Right.
I think a lot of it has to do with the social. Alcohol is socially accepted. However, marijuana has in my opinion, and it has been shown and proven in Alaska, marijuana has so many more social side effects than alcohol does. This is just from my observations, working narcotics a lot of my career,
Right.
and watching the issue across the world. When everybody talks about Amsterdam, you can go to Amsterdam and get all you want. It's free. It's no big deal. It's not. And it hasn't hurt anything over there. That's absolutely, completely, 100% false.
Right.
They despise the marijuana issue in Amsterdam, the residents and the locals and the government.
Right.
The crime rate in Amsterdam is through the roof. Heroin use is through the roof. The social costs, treatment, and everything else are through the roof. Alaska tried this years ago to legalize marijuana. The abuse and social costs became so expensive so fast that they turned around and recriminalized it. So it's been tried before. And the culture in California is not conducive to legalizing marijuana, because if you just outright make it legal, you're going to see kids coming to class stoned.
Right.
There's going to be absolutely no restrictions on it. If you try and legalize it to the effect that alcohol is legalized, nobody has a still in their backyard anymore.
Right.
That art is lost, especially here.
Right.
Maybe in the South, it's still there.
Sure.
But everybody's going to be growing plants in their backyard.
Right.
This fallacy of legalizing it and tax it and create.
I wanted to ask about like
business,
cigarettes.
Cigarettes.
What if you did that?
It's never going to work in California because everybody can grow it in their backyard.
So in other words, if you can grow it in your backyard, why would you go buy an actual pack of marijuana?
They say the cartels will go away. Baloney. It will make them stronger because the black market will be there.
What about the scenario of the federal government controlling it, just like they do cigarettes and alcohol now, and you can't grow? Would it still be a similar problem?
You can't grow it now.
Well,
people do. It's not gonna change a thing.
Yeah.
Not in California. Not with the culture that California has. I just do not see it working. I think it's already a failed experiment. Proposition 215 has already failed. It needs to be done completely differently, or if they want to treat it like true medicine, then you get a prescription. First, the FDA is going to have to, and DEA is going to have to reschedule it.
Right.
And then you go to the pharmacy and you get it administered through the pharmacy, just like any other drug. But that's never going to happen either, because that's not what they want.
Yeah.
They want it legal.
Yeah. It's interesting. You brought up a good point. I never ever thought about doing it like you would when you went up pick up a prescription for your cholesterol or whatever. You do the same kind of thing. So it's kind of interesting, I think. So we beat that. Now we know about that. I want to talk a little bit about what homeowners can do in their home to help protect themselves from crime. I know we've had some home invasion situations. Most of the time, it's not random. From what I'm reading, somebody knows somebody for some reason. But as a homeowner, what can I do to protect myself and try to keep a random act of violence or somebody breaking into my home and stealing everything? What do I need to do as a homeowner?
Well, I mean, that's for years we've had Neighborhood Watch. You actually, as I was coming here, you have a nice little sign in front that you guys have a Neighborhood Watch program in your community. That's huge. Right. Even the signage is important.
Right.
That is a deterrent. Alarm systems. Well, I'll back up a little bit. The basics: lock your house.
Right.
Lock your cars. Don't leave valuables where people can see them. Keep stuff closed. Alarm systems. You can get even more money. Video surveillance systems. Be a responsible gun owner. And have signs posting that.
Right.
I think that is a huge deterrent.
Yeah.
Just a lot of it is common sense.
Yeah.
Rob, a lot of it is common sense. We have our stars. They are happy to come out to any community and give a presentation for Neighborhood Watch. That's what they do. That's one of their collateral, one of the duties that they do.
Right.
And they can give all that information. Locks are the type of locks are important. You get what you pay for in a lock.
Sure.
Cheap locks. I've had professional training for breaching as far as high risk warrant situations and things like that. But now it's all on YouTube. Yeah. All the training that I spent a couple days in and learned how to pick locks.
Right.
Now it's on YouTube. A lot of these cheap locks, they are cheap.
Yeah.
And you can get through a lock in seconds.
Right.
Literally seconds. No big deal. But if you want to keep them a little bit honest, buy good locks.
Right.
If they really want in, they're going to break a window. But anything that you can do that you think some knucklehead is going to think twice. I really like the signs. I like the postings in the window of the alarm systems.
Right.
The Neighborhood Watch signs in an area. Questioning neighbors. Neighbors who see something and aren't afraid to call and let people know. Aren't afraid to call the neighbors, call the police. Not so much confronting individuals, but if a knucklehead's in an area he doesn't belong and everybody's looking at him,
right,
he might go find another neighborhood. Common sense.
Common sense. One of the things that I teach, of course, is in-home and out-of-home self-defense courses. And one of the things I always talk about when we walk around a home and we take a look at it, so many times the windows have bushes right up against them, and there's no clear field. You can't see people approaching, and there's a lot that a homeowner can do to actually help protect themselves. Lighting's a big one. Lighting's another one, because just that light popping on, they're not going to hang around and oh my God, I don't know if that's a person or if it's a timer. They don't know, so they'll get out of there. So I think there's a lot a homeowner can do. But I was a little concerned about about the statistic and what's happening, and you brought up the point that the economy is part of what might be driving this little higher numbers in crime. And the other thing that I looked at too was a little bit of we had a very mild winter. Most of the time, bad guys don't like to get wet or cold. Pretty simple. They really don't. So as you get into the weather situation, to the warmer weathers and all that, they come out too. So just something to think about. That's just my 2 cents worth. Sure. What the hell do I know? I'm not a cop. So, I really kind of like doing this, and I think we'll revisit the crime beat every now and then just to see what's going on and how it's going in El Dorado County thing, because I think it's important for everybody to know and be aware. And I think you said that, and I think it's really important. Be aware of your surroundings. Be aware of what's going on. If you see somebody that's strange in your neighborhood, make sure that you keep an eye on them. And if you're concerned at all, call 911. That's what your deputies are out there for.
Call the non-emergency number if it's a non-emergency.
And call it a right. We don't want to time the 911 systems. There is a non-emergency number that you can call to. But still, either way.
Absolutely.
You know, if you just don't feel comfortable with the situation, obviously get a hold of law enforcement, and they'll come out and do that. Do you have anything else as far as statistics or anything else you'd like to talk about on this particular subject? And just to finish it out, or?
You know, I think for the community out there that we take it, you know, we take our jobs very, very seriously.
Yeah.
I take it personally. When I see a pocket area that's getting beat up with burglaries or thefts or whatever it is, I get mad.
Right.
I get personal. It's personal to me. That's a part of our community, and my deputies do as well. We're out there working hard. We're out there doing what we can. Please do what you can. Give us the information, like you said. Don't be afraid to call and let us know, even if you don't think it's that important. It just may be the last little bit of information we need.
Yeah, might be.
Don't hesitate, and my folks will keep working hard. And thank you for the community support.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. One more thing just popped in my head. I wanted to talk about. You know, all these flea markets that are popping up all over the place. Mm-hmm. Is anybody going around checking serial numbers on equipment and stuff that's
From time
out there?
to time.
Good. I hope so. And I want you to say that because I want those of you out there to know that you're being watched. So I see an awful lot of flea markets, and it bothers me a little bit. So I want to make sure that they know that you're also watching them as well. Yeah, I think we covered the subject perfect. I really appreciate you coming again, of course, John. And hey, this is Rob with Old Guy Tech TV. This was Crime Beat with our sheriff in El Dorado County. Hope to see you soon. Hi, I'm Rob Charney, Old Guy Tech TV, and I'm here to talk to you today about Windfall and the El Dorado County Fair. The largest event of El Dorado County will soon be here. Don't miss this opportunity to promote and build your business by advertising in the 2012 El Dorado County Fair Guide, published exclusively by the Windfall. The El Dorado County Fair Association is very excited to partner with Windfall again this year. Last year was such a success, we are thrilled to work with them again. The exposure that the El Dorado County Fair has in our community is amazing. We don't want you to miss it. Jody W. Gray, CEO of El Dorado County Fair, just told us this. So distributed in the Windfall and El Dorado Hills Telegraph, June 8th, 2012, and available to the public at the welcome information booths at each entrance during the fair. This user-friendly guide features a map of the fairgrounds, event, vendor locations, and includes the schedule of events. Reservations are required, space is limited, circulation is 20,000 plus copies, and the deadline is 5/25/2012. So make sure you get your ad into the Windfall today. Tell them Rob sent you.